Resident doctors have been made a new offer to try to stop this month's strikes. Members of the BMA are due to walk out for 5 days from next Friday. The package includes grant specialist training to help real people into jobs and help pay for exams and courses. Supply of tomato energy has collapsed, leaving the industry watchdog to step in to protect supply for the providers of 15,300 households and 8,400 business customers. New suppliers over the coming days. Customers have been advised not to switch. In the city, a short time ago, the FTSE 100 was trading up 68 points at 97.82. The pound buys $1.30 and €1.14. And the LBC weather, patchy rain in the north and west tonight, dry and clear elsewhere, breezy with a low of 10 degrees. Rain will continue in the north and west tomorrow, bright spells and showers elsewhere, and a high of 17 degrees. From the news from the LBC, I'm Tim.
This is LBC. Leading Britain's conversation with Tom Swarbrick.
Just gone 4. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the show. Tom Swarbrick and Drive on LBC. Hope you find you very well indeed. Coming up, if you're in your 20s and you leave the workplace, you will lose out on earnings which can amount to £1 million over the course of a lifetime. More than 9 million working-age adults are economically inactive at a cost to employers of some £85 billion a year. More support for people to keep them in work is required, a report has concluded. The French are prescribing working from home. Would that help? Having attempted to get to the right temperature to shelter you from the storm, dance floor filler and now climate activist is on the show to highlight what Jamaica needs for its recovery and whether the COP climate summit actually achieves anything.
WhatsApp message now. 0345 973. Text 84850. Tom Swarbrick on LBC.
Very good afternoon to you. This hour, tax, is it really grand to look at things that are actually benefiting the people that live here? He is, he says, an actual patriotic millionaire. The former England and Man United centre-back Rio Ferdinand has turned his attention from defence to a tax. A tax, at least on the Chancellor, you can see, from the relative safety and comfort of his Dubai bubble, which he has gone to start a new life in with his family, joining thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not perhaps even hundreds of thousands, of Brits who have made similar moves. Now, what could it be, ladies and gentlemen, about the sunshine, relative safety and income tax-free status of Dubai that attracts so many people, including high-net-worth individuals like Mr. Ferdinand? Today, we read more about some of the decisions the Chancellor is weighing up in a couple of weeks' time, including the National Institute of Economic and Social Research telling the Chancellor to increase the higher rate of income tax to 50p in the pound from 40p in the pound. But not the highest rate of it. The higher rate of income tax, so anyone earning £50,000 so 125,000, your tax would go from 40p in the pound to 50p in the pound. An act that alongside a continuing freeze of income tax thresholds would absolutely batter people earning over £50,000 a year. For example, just running the calculation through various forms of AI, if you earn £65,000 a year, you would pay under this another £1,500 a year if this were brought in. But the wider point is actually best made by Mr. Ferdinand. It is not just the question of how much you are paying, which I know irks millions of people, just the amount that it churns out every single month. It's about where that money is going to. It's about what that money is paying for. Here's Rio Ferdinand on part of the reason why he left the UK for Dubai. Something different, I think is a refreshing new chapter in my life.
There are lots of people who are doing what you've done, leaving the UK and going to Dubai, about 250,000 people, and they'll do it for all kinds of different reasons. But it strikes me that one of the reasons is the UK is not a great place to be right now. As much as we love it, and we do, and you're a patriotic guy and you've got to speak for yourselves, you represented your country, England's not great.
Yeah, but I think it's one of those things. It's can you put yourself in a position to start in positive times? Like I said, that's the foundation, and I'm so proud of it. Is that there are things for you to do. There is a positive outlook. Is there in the distance? But you've got to work it. You've got to work bloody hard if you're going to achieve anything in life.
A lot of people feel that hard work is undermined by things like higher tax rates in the UK compared to places like Dubai. That's got to be a factor, hasn't it? That's got to be a reason why a lot of people are moving to the UK and moving to Dubai, and it's understandable.
But there was things like the health service and whatnot was absolutely flying and doing and working perfectly well. Then I think people paying tax, you don't mind. But then when there's things like falling apart, and there's things that are going wrong in the country, and
It's very special if you want change, you can.
everyone
Ujeni mteremko Zimbabwe
tax. And is it really going towards the things that are actually benefiting the people that live here? And that's the big question that needs answering. I think a lot of us know the answer to that.
120.
Rio Ferdinand speaking to me, well, he was actually in Munich, to be fair, he wasn't in Dubai, but he would have been speaking to me from Dubai if we talked to him when he was at home, because that's where he's moved to now. Saying that we all know, or at least the question people ask is the money that they are giving to the Treasury because they have to, being spent in the right way in the interests of British people? And his sort of nod and a wink, I guess, was that people know the answer to that. Now, a man of his means probably has private health cover, meaning he isn't as reliant on the NHS as other people. Nevertheless, people who pay for healthcare privately, people who pay for education privately in this country, have an absolute right to question how their tax pounds are being spent, even if they are not at that particular moment using those services. It is their money. Here's an example. The NHS received an additional £20 billion at the last budget. A slightly odd speech yesterday morning that the NHS is going to be a priority again for her at this budget, and that some of the money that is going to be raised to increase taxes is going to go to fund the NHS. And of course, everybody knows that the NHS needs funding from taxes to keep it going. I don't think there are many people who would suggest we move to a system like the Americans have. It's a good system that we have for the point of use, but actually the point of use is very important, because if you're not using it, you're still paying for it. And as people get older, as people live longer, also a good thing, but also live with various comorbidities and illnesses, more money is likely required to fund that NHS. I think most people accept that, I think most people understand that, but I think also most people worry about how that money is being used. Is there bang for the buck? Because even with the additional £20 billion that the NHS got in the last budget, part of the reason why taxes, particularly on employing people, had to go up, the Chancellor said, even with that additional £20 billion, in the last 12 months, productivity in the NHS has fallen 1.5%. It's gone down. The ability of the NHS to produce more for the hours worked has fallen 1.5%. There was greater productivity in the NHS when they had 20 billion quid less. In fact, public sector productivity overall is down 0.7% in the second quarter of this year. That is the steepest fall in 3 years. That is with the additional money coming from the additional taxes. And there are millions, there are indeed billions of examples all over government of money being spent in a way I'm not sure we can afford to have if it means hard-working, hard tax, particularly middle earners, are going to be hit again and again. When Rio Ferdinand talks about money not being spent in the interest of British people, can I point to you the road that is being built currently in Guyana, part of the government's commitment to spend 11.5 on this government's thing, in climate change. £52 million is being spent by the government to fund the building of a 75-mile climate resilient road in Guyana. This road was meant to finish last month, and it hasn't. It's only 46 miles long, and it's been dubbed the road to nowhere. Is that the kind of investment you want the British government to be making at this time, when the effectiveness of public services is in question? We'll come to the prison service later, but you look specifically at the NHS, and its productivity has gone down in the last year, despite more money going to it because of increased taxes. Is Rio Ferdinand right to say that the frustration is
not just how much you are taxed, but that the money you pay doesn't seem to be making things better. Or is this a man who is part of the super wealthy? The 0.1%, forget the 1%, the 0.1%, who plead patriotism as they leave the country. He has more than most. He has more than most people could ever imagine. When it comes to cash value. I think was not the most expensive footballer in Britain. Did Man United pay 30 million quid from him from Leeds, I think, back in the day? He's a very, very wealthy man. So would you put him in the category of people who are hoarding their wealth, storing it for themselves by moving to a tax haven rather than, as Rachel Reeves would like you to do their bit for Britain, do their bit for Britain by parting with all of your money to fund services, the effectiveness of which is going down. So riddle me that as part of this. Not only about wealthy people leaving this country to go to Milan or to go to Dubai or to go to wherever. The lack of patriotism that they apparently show, the tax that they are avoiding, and therefore they are morally bankrupt people despite being incredibly wealthy. Why is it that when more money goes to a service like the NHS in the last year, as it has, tens of billions of pounds more, the productivity of that organisation falls 1.5%? The public sector can receive decent chunky pay rises in some quarters, not all, and taxes go up in order to pay for the bills of the public service, public sector, but productivity down in a way that has not been seen for a number of years when it comes to the steepest fall in productivity in the public sector. So I am very, very happy to do my bit and pay every penny I earn. But why would you continue willingly to pay more of your own efforts to a state that is not working? And in the case of the NHS, getting less productive despite having more money. Is Rio Ferdinand wrong because he's rich? Because he's rich and he's left the country, he is wrong about frustrations he seems to have with the way in which his money is being spent. I don't think he is at all. I think he's absolutely right. I think he sums up the frustrations of millions of people who look at the way in which government is spending money again and again and again. We're here to protect the NHS. We've got to fund the NHS correctly. More taxes, more money goes, and the effectiveness of it is going down. Is that a money problem? Does that mean more money? 03456060973 to your calls after this. Tom Swarbrick here, 450.
LBC Travel Line, Dave. Golf is slow on the M25 clockwise. There's one lane closed because the car's broken down, but in junction 24 for Potters Bar and junction 25 for Enfield. The A20 is closed going out of town between Frittles Corner and Sidcup and the M25 at Swanley. That's because of it is slow in Brentwood on the A12. The exit slip road to the M25 Broad Street roundabout is blocked. That's because there's an obstruction on the road. The Recuse in Bow, Devon's Road is partly blocked in both directions because of an accident around Purdy Road. In the centre of town, the Recuse on Southampton Road northbound is partly blocked at the A40 High Holborn. That's because a bus has broken down. And in Watford, it's heavy on Hartspring Lane in both directions around Bushy Mill Lane. That's because of an accident.
Tonight with Andrew Marr from 6 p.m.
Yes, it's happened again. Another foreign prisoner released from jail by mistake. But this is happening almost regularly. So why? That plus the election of a socialist mayor is this the beginning of a general swing in the West against the populist right? Join me at 6.
Tonight with Andrew Marr from 6 p.m. Listen on our free global player app or the new LBC app.
Henry's best ever Black Friday sale is now with an extra 10% off absolutely everything. That's on top of up to 50% off hundreds of made-to-measure blinds, curtains and sheets. Plus, control your blinds from anywhere with a half-price smart hub when you buy any electric blind, with measuring and fitting always included. And multiple window covers. Order now for blinds and curtains fitted in time for Christmas. Book your free in-home appointment today at henrys.co.uk. Conditions apply.
Call Tom Swarbrick 0345 6060 973. This is LBC.
When BP asked me to read the voiceover for their new Wild Bean Cafe ad, I thought I knew what to expect. But when they told me I'd be riding straight next to a mountain waterfall, on horseback, strumming a harp, in a hailstorm, naked, ow, 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 Well, that was wildly unexpected. Just like Wild Bean Cafe, freshly ground signature espresso blend for everything from Americanos to flat whites in a fuel station. Wowzers. Wild Bean Cafe, only BP, subject to availability at selected body stores.
Begins with TRIP. Take a road trip with your family, get there safely. Every 2 hours too. I inspect tire pressure and tread. Prepare for the weather ahead. A safe trip begins with TRIP. A safe trip begins with TRIP.
Do the 4 trip checks before every long journey. National highways.
Did you know HGVs have 4 zones of limited vision around them? If you're in one of these areas, you may not be seen by the driver. These 4 limited vision zones are in front, behind, and at both sides of the HGV. So when you're driving around a HGV, don't linger around them. Because they may not notice you're there. Know the HGV zones. National highways.
Tom Swarbrick on LBC. Listen on your smart speaker. Just say, play LBC.
Afternoon to you, 4:18 the time. Tom Swarbrick here on LBC. Whether it's the funding of the NHS, whether it's the funding of the police, education, and we'll come on in a moment to the criminal justice service. Rio Ferdinand's point as he leaves the UK for Dubai is it's not the amount that he's concerned about particularly, that people should be frustrated with, it's that it buys you nothing. It doesn't seem to be working. Public sector doesn't seem to be working. And the stats sort of back that up, certainly in terms of NHS productivity. Yes, very hard to measure, but people that are measuring it have measured it as going down 1.5% in the last year, a year in which the NHS received £20 billion more in order to do the job better. Is that a frustration you share? Or because Rio Ferdinand is rich, very rich, he's wrong, and he's not patriotic, and he should stay in this country and do his bit, as Rachel Rees has demanded of us all, in paying for more of the public service sector. But where's the reform? Where's the change? Where's the ability to make it actually deliver things well? Shovel as much money into it as you like. Is it doing a good job? I'll tell you more about the criminal justice sector in just a moment. Philip's in Bognor Regis first. Hi, Philip.
Good afternoon.
Your thoughts on Mr. Ferdinand?
Well, it's like any relationship, really. The best relationships are the ones who take the rough and the smooth and stay together. Okay. Mr. Ferdinand's had all the good. He's got a happy day. Now he's going off to Dubai, and taking his wealth to Dubai. I don't regard him as a patriot. I regard him Yeah, these are people who spin their little webs as much as possible. They have a lot of fear, such as a personality, okay, and he can get away with saying, giving people the he's wrong. He's worked in Dubai for 7 years, and he came back, and he brought the money back, and he's a patriot.
Hang on, Philip. So, this particular virus left this country going to Dubai, where they pay 5% income taxes, 0% income taxes, and your son did the same. Saved an absolute mini fortune and brought it all home. So why isn't he a virus? He did exactly the same thing.
He spent the money he made here in this country.
And the person who is taxed on their UK earnings in the UK but nevertheless lives in Dubai, they're a virus.
No, not at all.
What taxes did your son pay? What taxes did your son pay in the UK for the UK when he went to live in Dubai?
Let me explain the virus bit then, because it sounds harsh and it's very easy to rub over.
Do you tell your son that he's a virus? Because he did what Rio Ferdinand's done.
No, absolutely not.
Well, okay, so I don't think it's right to chastise people for making decisions for themselves and their families.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. He's entitled. I made a very similar decision back in 2007 when I was sitting on the board of the company, when I was being paid enough money to be able to pay tax to one of our lowest employees. Alright, so that made me feel very guilty that I was being paid so much. When I realised that I I've just spent the last 6 years with chronic heart failure, right? Over a period when they were really stressed with COVID, all right? And it's been a very difficult period for me because I also suffered from a cyst, which has turned out to be almost as big as a golf ball. And when it was removed, it's left a big hole in my head. It could have been as small as because of COVID, they couldn't get through. But as regards the help of the National Health Service, it's made huge steps in my view in the last 6 years. It's trying to go digital. It's trying to be make an improvement in terms of information. They've changed my drugs after 35 years, very recently, and I've seen my life almost turn round in about 2 weeks.
That's fantastic. And there are some wonderful people who work in the NHS who do an incredibly difficult job. My son was in A&E. And they were fantastic with him. Absolutely brilliant. Couldn't fault it. But I'm afraid these numbers do not lie. More money is going into the NHS in the last year. Productivity is falling. That is a problem. And people, I'm afraid, do see, whether it's the NHS or other elements of the public sector, they do see a public sector that isn't really working as well as it ought to, particularly given the money they're put in. And I don't think it's right to say, well, you can't talk about it, it's wrong to your son's virus.
No, all right, okay. You're going to go on about the virus thing, but this is just the media's way of having their own say from what are basically unproven fact.
What's unproven?
Well, what's unproven is to denigrate the National Health Service as if it's anything. You just need to go in a hospital for 10 minutes to see what goes on.
I know, but I'm afraid its output has dropped 1.5%. That's a bad thing with more money going into it when people really need it to be there for them. And will continue to, and I hope that it is. Philip, thank you very much indeed. Joe, I'll get to your call in just a few moments. I must bring you this piece of breaking news. You're listening to LBC 4:25 the time. You will be aware that HMP Wandsworth accidentally released an Algerian national who was convicted of sexual offences. That information came to light a little earlier this afternoon. An Algerian national is now being sought in London. Meantime, we have learned that HMP Wandsworth on Monday accidentally released another convicted criminal. 35-year-old William Smith, who goes by the name Billy, is now being looked for by police in Surrey. Smith was sentenced to 45 months for multiple fraud offences at Croydon Crown Court on the same day he was released. He's described as white, bald and clean-shaven. So police say Smith was last seen wearing a navy long-sleeve jumper with the Nike brand tick across the front in white, navy blue tracksuit bottoms with a Nike tick on white on the left pocket, and black trainers. The police say he has links to Woking, but he could be anywhere in Surrey. Police asked anyone with any information to contact them because we've lost another one. So another person who should have been behind bars is now out of bars because he was accidentally released by the same prison who accidentally released an Algerian national. Listen, Billy, if you're listening, just turn yourself in. That would be very helpful. If you don't mind, awfully, turning yourself in because you should be in prison because on the day you were accidentally released, you were sentenced to 45 months for multiple fraud offences at Croydon Crown Court. And the police will do what they did with Hadush Kabatu, which is say this. Sorry. Do you mind? If you just turn yourself in. Dear. Joe's in Enfield. Joe.
Alekii,
how are you?
Your thoughts?
Well, I'm finding Rio further than on radio is really disingenuous because not knocking him, he knows nothing about real life, mate. So he's been in a football bubble all his life, been heavily paid, good luck to him, but to me he's just a numbnut, so that's my opinion.
So your dismissal of his point about the effectiveness of cash going to public sector.
I've got no interest in what Dave Beckham's got to say. I don't know nothing about real life.
Iano, Josh.
No, it's got nothing to do about their wealth. It's to do with how they've got their wealth. Good luck to them. I'm not knocking wealthy people, but my point is they've got their wealth through their talent, not from their brain. Well, there you go.
Hang on.
So, I know lots of wealthy people that got there for hard work, and they've been given a gifted talent to get their wealth.
I'm not sure it's as simple as...
Really, mate? Really?
Well, I'm saying, yeah.
Go on, then.
When you're a footballer aged 8, there is absolutely no guarantee, even if you're quite good, that you're going to turn professional. You have to check, you have to learn, you have to graft, you have to turn up every single time.
Listen, Tom, I'm a professional sportsman. I've been a sportsman all my life.
There you go, so you know exactly.
So I know exactly. Exactly, that's right. But Tom, if I want to bring something, it's for me, not for no one else. And you know what? I'll be so, what's the word I'm going to look for? So appreciative to what life has given me, rather than just talking about, I'm going to run off with the vine. Good on you. But I'm going to give a motion. There you go.
But did that make him wrong on his point?
No, he's the way he likes me. But when he starts talking, I feel sorry for the normal person on the street that he's grafting away under this MFI government. Do you know what I mean by MFI government? Because they're the worst cabinet. They're the worst cabinet I've ever known. There you go. I love this country, and I think it's still the best country in the world. And I don't want to go to a country where you can't be who you want to be. That's my opinion.
So, okay, and you would count Dubai as one of those places where you can't be what you want to be?
100%.
So he should stay in Britain because his values should more closely align with British values and how we do things here, rather than moving to Dubai.
Listen, it's a free will. We can do what he likes. That's up to his goal.
I don't understand why is he wrong? He's done very well for himself with his hard work and endeavour. What?
Yeah. 100% good at him. But my point is, Tom, that's not what this is about. I'm finding it to have somebody like Rio Ferdinand taking the talk about, he thinks his country's gone, and he thinks, I'm coming the same neck of the woods as Rio Ferdinand. So he doesn't tell me about the real life, if you like. But he's been a very fortunate man.
When you say someone like Rio Ferdinand, what do you mean someone like? Do you mean wealthy?
Well, like someone like David Beckham. It's like someone like David Beckham getting a nice... Really?
Sir David.
Who gives... I wouldn't give the steam off my urine, mate. I don't really care. I've got no time now at all. He wouldn't get the steam off my urine. There you go. It's good silly David Beckham with all his tattoos. See that, mate?
Will we begin the steam that rises from the frothing... Joe, thank you very much indeed. Just because he's wealthy, because he's a footballer, he's entitled to his opinion about what's going on in the country. He can see what a lot of other people can see who might be less wealthy and might have fewer opportunities to move abroad as he does. Well, okay, we can sit there and do green light box till night, but he's got a point. 03456060973. Tom's what we've got on LBC coming up.
People who are meant to care for me were treated so badly while in such a vulnerable position.
A maternity unit sent to the morgue a stillborn baby who was actually alive. Doctors then refused to treat the baby, who was put on a hospital radiator for 12 hours. It is a story that beggars belief. We'll bring you the details. A second of 5 prisoners been accidentally freed from prison, but police weren't told for several days. Ryan Kador Sharif's release came 5 days after convicted sex offender was also let out in error. He was released from HMP Wandsworth, who it's revealed mistakenly released a 5-year-old on Monday. Liam Smith has links to Woking, and he's thought to be in Surrey. The father of the Southport attacker says he was frightened of his son, but didn't report his violent behaviour because he was worried he'd been taken away. Unfortunately, the command has been speaking last year's killings of 3 girls at a dance class. LBC weather, patchy rain in the north and west tonight, dry and clear elsewhere. Below 10 degrees.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC. A lot of what schooling is currently providing doesn't really seem equipped for the modern age. Some major reviews and reforms could be on the way, as outlined now by Labour MP and Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson. The idea of helping children spot fake news. How are you going to bring this in?
It's not about politicians or any of us actually telling our children what to think. It's how we encourage them to be critical. We know that, there's a lot of stuff that gets pumped out on social media, and it's worrying for parents.
because of these changes, the secondary primary sector money to even have teaching assistants.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast. Back tomorrow morning from 7. Listen on our free global player app or the new LBC app. LBC.
A message from TFL. I saw him in the local news a few days after. His name was Rakesh. They had to put him into a convoy just because I didn't look again without that turning. He had 2 kids. How did I not see his body? Well, I didn't look again. He didn't make it.
Drivers, take another look, not a life. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
It's that time of year again, which can only mean one thing. Save a third off roasting joints at Waitrose. Choose from tender beef silverside, succulent whole brined seasoned chicken, or juicy beach smoked gammon. So, fire up your ovens and give winter a warm welcome with a third off roasting joints. Waitrose, the home of food lovers. Selected lines and stores subject to availability. Prices may vary in Channel Islands, Little Waitrose and Partners and concessions. Offer ends 11th of November.
Did you know HGVs have 4 zones of limited vision around them? If you're in one of these areas, you may not be seen by the driver. These 4 limited vision zones are in front, behind, and at both sides of the HGV. So when you're driving around the HGV, don't linger around them, because they may not notice you're there. Know the HGV zones. National highways.
If you bought a home on a holiday park in the UK, what you thought you were getting may not be what you ended up with. From unexpected site increases, running costs, a huge depreciation in value, many owners feel they've been missold. If you think this might be you, Holiday Park advicecentre.co.uk could help you receive the compensation you're entitled to. Text ASSIST to 78900 to find out more. That's ASSIST to 78900.
Tom Swarbrick on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
4:35 the time. Here's Ravi on WhatsApp. Tom, I agree with Rio. I've worked hard and paid millions in taxes during my career. Governments have wasted money on projects and welfare and continue to do so. Before we all pay more, they need to cut the cost burden and improve productivity. Otherwise, we are in an endless loop of asking everyone to always pay more tax. Don't forget, too, the elusive growth agenda. Taxes have scared that one away as well. Gemma, I'll come to your call in just a moment. First,
almost half of all trusts are rated as requiring improvement or safety. There is a widespread lack of staff and a lack of potential life-saving equipment.
This is one of the worst examples of the scandal of maternity care that I think I've covered, and it's actually quite close to home for me too, because this is the hospital where my son was born. A baby declared stillborn at a scandal-hit hospital was later found to be alive after a mortuary rejected her. The case is one of 20 under investigation at one hospital, West Streeting warning that the scandalous revelations point to a moral failure at the John Radcliffe Hospital in Oxford. Emma Cox, who gave birth to twins in 2011 when she was 17 years old, says she begged for her daughter to be treated, but instead, the tiny baby was left for 12 hours on a hospital radiator. Theo Clark is a former Conservative MP who chaired the birth trauma inquiry in 2024. Thank you very much, Steve, for coming on the programme. This is unbelievable, this story. The details in it is just appalling.
Well, good afternoon, Johnny. And first of all, absolutely devastating and shocking, the examples that you've just read out. But unfortunately, I can't say that we haven't had other similarly shocking scandals in other hospital trusts across the UK. Just last year in Parliament, I chaired a cross-party inquiry, which unfortunately heard from over 1,300... In the worst case examples, stories where the babies